Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the final episode, long-awaited episode of the 2023 Midwest Major Tournament. This is the first tournament that I brought a camera set up to try and record my games. I have since done so at least 5 more tournaments. That's probably more than that. Anyways, there's going to be 2 games featured in this one video, and at the end there'll be an announcement about what's next for this channel. Exactly what someone on YouTube wants to sit through. But for now, here's the gameplay, and I hope you enjoy.
That game was way closer than it should have been.
All right, welcome to round 14 of 17 of the 2023 Midwest Major. In this round, I played Peter Schwartzman for the second time. Peter, not only a very strong player, very nice guy, also the mayor of a town in Illinois.
How much did you just win by?
You might be trying to exact some revenge from the last game we played that I won. I'll be trying to defend my lead in the tournament. I'm up 2 games over him. Still holding first place. And this first rack is pretty good. I get to score 26 points. Get to leave pretty balanced rack, all things considered. AMPS has good synergy. Could turn into a little bit of a nuisance if I draw too many consonants. But after the play of Vox, it's also very difficult to have reasonable responses. Most likely we're going to see an overlap, but Peter decides to play Oxic. Told me he was setting up his QI and also potentially his T. I don't quite remember. But to me, this was just a play getting rid of an O, an I, and a C. I could have played Compass,
11.
Which is good with 1 or 2 S's from the C of Oxic. Setting up my second S, that would have been a very aggressive play. Instead, I decided to keep things pretty tight with just POO. But this doesn't stop Peter from achieving his plan of playing QI, so potentially a missed opportunity. I drew a second S here, which was pretty nice. Though I didn't have a 7-letter word, I was able to score with miso, keep AES, which, as long as I draw a consonant or 2, be in pretty good shape. I can re-overlap, or re-underlap, I should say, making QIS and some 2-letter with the M. If he opens the board from the O, it'll be giving me some opportunities to play an 8-letter word. And I do draw some possible 8-letter words, like hag rides. But instead of opening some floating letters for me, Peter decides to blow up his rack here substantially, playing A, D, E, I, N, R, which are really, really good tiles, and going with Dancier. So from my point of view, there aren't that many letters he can have after this play, but since he's drawing 6, it's not really worth thinking about too much. He does inhibit some plays under the O of miso, but I'm still going to be able to play through the R, score pretty substantially, and set up my S. Decided to play Haired instead of Harder. Makes it a bit harder for him to play an 8-letter word. And GRS, if I can just draw a couple vowels, could potentially turn into bingo, making OHS. And I also have the lane that he created with Dancier on the top right to work with.
35.
So considering the GRS is more balanced than GS, seems like a close call between Harrod and Harder. And I draw the first blank, but I also draw triplicate R's. So regretting not playing Harder, but doesn't mean it was the wrong play. So Peter plays EWE.
24.
And
25.
I immediately spot something that I can do
98 to 101.
Yes.
because of that play. And without much hesitation, decide to play Grr, making GED. And for some reason, completely missing that I can play Grr and Ewer for more points. And that's just a complete miss on my part. It's a very bizarre lapse. It's just a better play to play with Ewer. So yeah, it's a bad blunder. Luckily, it's only a couple points. I draw pretty well. Peter plays Raked from the R. Happy to see. He's played 4 tiles, which means most likely he doesn't have great letters on his rack. So I decide to play the Liars. A couple places I can play, I decide to take the points. I'm exposing a few letters up top, opening the top of the board, but a B, an E, and an L,
78.
really not a big deal.
Yeah.
Let's see what we get. 2 U's, 3 U's, a Y, a Z, an A, and an L. So this rack looks absolutely horrendous. And Peter plays Arag overlapping, scoring really well on the triple word score.
30.
And I'm about ready to exchange or play Luau or play Ulu. Until I realize I have a really nice way to get rid of 2 U's. 4-letter word Yuzu. It's a word I've missed before. I'll continue to miss. They added it to the lexicon, I think in 2014. I still haven't come across it enough to be just seeing it instantly on my rack. But yeah, luckily something clicked there. I was able to find by far the best play. I have a nice lead. And lead's about to get a little bit smaller. This nice overlap. Or again, underlap, I should say, of Tanto. Nice 5-letter word. And my letters aren't so great, but I do have a way to control a lot of the top of the board. I can't really do anything about the bottom of the board right now, but there's not much of a threat there. I decide to play Gluteal. Has its drawbacks. Plays through the L, score well, and open the board. But I'm able to block some stuff immediately, and dig into the back for potential letters that Peter might want to draw. Instead of that, I draw 6 consonants, but on that note, I do draw the second blank, which is absolutely key. This totally cancels out the fact that I drew 6 consonants to go with it. So that means he doesn't have the blank. Now, Peter makes this very high scoring play of Hepia as an overlap. And while he's counting, trying to
45.
remain still because I know this isn't a word. Luckily, he does make the play, challenge it off. He's thinking of sepia, maybe tepa, telia, tenia. Lots of words resemble this.
Exchanging 5.
Okay.
This is a huge break for me. Phony 5-letter word. Decided to exchange, keeping R blank.
21.
Nothing more I can do because, yeah, my letters are just that bad.
With the clock.
He decides to play poly, which scores decently. I know he's keeping an E and a T. He set up an S hook. Doing what he needs to do to stay in the game.
You have 201.
Yes.
But on my end, I drew pretty well, and I'm able to play ivories and pallies. Pretty much seal the deal. It's just so hard to imagine him being able to get down 2 bingos before the end of the game. But I shouldn't have played ivories. I probably should have played underneath Tanto with Ionizer. Because this just allows him to play a lot more 8-letter words. So I give him obtained through
76.
the I. I'm kind of regretting my decision, but it's close. Again, it's hard to imagine 2 bingos coming down after ivories, so should be able to maintain my lead. Even if he does get 2 bingos down, I should be okay with my 40-point buffer plus score I get for this play, Yowie, 26 points. And it's starting to look pretty bad, the unseen letters. Just like almost no vowels at all. So I'm assuming that Peter doesn't have much to work with. And yeah, luckily for me, I had 4 vowels on my last draw, which is a huge, huge stroke of luck after the bingo of ivories. So Peter plays Tolt. Plays off 1 vowel, scores decently, but
300.
it's looking really, really bleak. The unseen letters. I have a way to score really well here. It's just retracking and make sure there wasn't something big I should block.
48.
And I decided to play jam. Taking a 100-point lead. And there's a mistake in the notation here with the order, the move order in this endgame. So, first move he plays is Miff. That is correct. But in the annotated game, instead of playing Blech first, I noted that I played off my S first, as you can see, the top right board. Don't trust it. Here I played Blech, which is the best endgame play. Ave comes down, and now I play off the S,
Yes. 10.
recognizing that he can't go out.
21.
He plays off in, and then realizes he can score a little bit more. with none. And I go out for 15. And I win this game.
7.
467. 337.
15 and up.
And by 130. And despite Peter not drawing anything and losing a full turn, he only loses by 130. So
Bag the shit out of you.
a very, very lucky game for me.
Yeah, man. Happens to the worst of us.
Let's listen to the post-mortem before we jump into the final game, game 15.
It's like, it pretty much says it all.
Yeah, I figured you had to be holding like ENN or something. Or EN. You were holding ENV with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
I
rough.
don't know what I was thinking of.
This was really, I don't know why. I mean, there is an S on scene, but I should just play down here. Ionizer.
All right, welcome to game 15
So I'm first, right?
of 17 of the 2023 Midwest Major. Maybe I shouldn't have introed that because
I think I'm
it's all the same video. Who knows?
3 losses.
Playing Jason Vaisberg,
Yeah,
who I played in round 1 of this tournament, and he
I got Jeff.
did defeat me.
How about you?
My lifetime record against Jason up to this point was 0-2. So he was the guy to beat. Peter
Yeah.
was still
The problem is
possibly going to be able to catch me here
kind of
in round 15, as well as Darren True. But
Okay.
if I win this game, pretty much clinching the tournament. And what a good draw to start. AHNRST blank. And I decided to put down Anthers with the S on the star as a little bit of a joke. It takes P for Panthers, so that would have been quite the content play. I decided to play Thin R's. It's a little bit better. Also, do not do this in a tournament. It is not appropriate board behavior. Just changing your play multiple times. It's worth noting that Tarnish would have been
76.
the slightly better option, just to float an I instead of an E. E is a better tile for Jason to immediately respond. But I didn't see Tarnish at all. I was too busy joking about fun play I could have made. So Thanos is on the board. Let's see what I get. BETO. Apologize again for the racks not being fully visible at this point in the tournament. BEOTV. Not a terrible draw, not a great draw. And Jason starts off with a bang. Not a bingo, but a really nice play of Afghani. It's a play I like to see, though, since he's not going to have necessarily a balanced rack next turn because he used so many tiles to make his play. And there aren't any great options here. I want to get rid of my U, my V, my B, one of the E's. I can't do all that. So I decided to play Biff to the F, Afghani. We'll score 20 points. It'll block a little bit. Keep ETV, which in terms of leaves that contain a V isn't that bad. So Jason plays Internal through the T. So a nice natural bingo. And And suddenly, game's hanging in the balance. I have EDP,
20.
TTV, as well as an X. And I decided not to play my X off because I can draw very nice plays, tripling my X both ways. Get XU, XI, and get box. The X is really strong on this board. And indeed, I draw a U and an I. I also can play Ibex with B. But if he leaves the spot open, we all know which tile I want to get rid of. That is the U. So Jason exchanges. I'm supposed to draw. And I get to play XU, which is now protected. What I mean by that is, because I placed the V where I placed it, the lane I'm creating on top of the UN on the triple word score is not a huge threat. So, Jason decides to play pads.
26.
Which to me indicates he has another S and maybe a couple more consonants. I respond by playing BAP, keeping EILNT, just hoping to beat him to the punch or respond with a bingo of my own. The board is such that any bingo is going to open something. So hopefully with my nice balanced tiles, I can draw into a bingo some way. But Jason's bingo is Ariel's double-double. And that only floats an S on a board that already had an S as a floater. And this takes a small lead. I have just blocked the R with Thanars, with BAP. And there really isn't much to do. Best I can come up with is just another 2-tile play
18.
of lid, just tying the game up, trying again. They do say that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is folly, but not in Scrabble. Sometimes a good leave is just a good leave. It's okay to keep the same leave over multiple turns if you missed the first time.
30.
So, Jason plays Fog. Just overlapping and scoring. And luckily for me, I draw a very nice bingo from the A, anti-leak, which doesn't open much. I was worried I would have to bingo to the S of Thanars and open just the entire left side of the board, but anti-leak is pretty lucky as far as bingo draws go. So back in the lead. But there's a lot left to this game. So let's see how things progress. So, A, D, E, G, I, J is the draw.
249 to 284.
I agree.
Jason plays Vogue, gets rid of his V and his W. Which is logical. And I decided to play Jet. through the T in
30.
anti-leak. And the computer doesn't like this play much. It prefers something like GITE to keep only one I, get rid of the G as well, and keep the J for potential scoring. Problem with Jet is it leaves me very vulnerable, the letters I'm keeping, to openings that Jason might make. GIT does create a problematic bingo lane in the form of an ING spot, but probably still worth doing. So Jason exchanges again, and I decide to make a very weird looking play here. I play veg. Now, what is the point of this play? Why am I keeping 2 A's, 2 I's on my rack? The point is recursive value. So I'm setting up an A hook for Vega. Could have also played Adagios to the OS, which is a normal play to make, which I did see. I'm setting up an A hook with Vega. I'm setting up the A on top as well. And I have the last 2 A's at this early stage of the game. This might remind you of shades of a video that Will made at one of the games I play. And Jason makes a nice play in response. Plays Coney and Fogey opening a big triple, saying, "What are you up to?" And I quickly play audios. Now this was a pretty substantial mistake. I can't really justify this play. I totally missed Zaida, Z-A-I-D-A, which just scores way more than enough to just cash the setup immediately. Instead, I decided to play audios, which kind of potentially sets up my Z if I can draw Lutz from the L, and also just severely limits Jason's counterplay through the O and Coney. So, noticing that the board needs some love, Jason plays Vo, setting up a big S lane. And I decide I still have the last A. I'm going to block. Again, I could have cashed the setup, but here it makes a lot more sense not to. There's a lot of draws I can get now with Vega that score in the 60s, 70s, 50s even. And it's so much better to do that when all the rest of the threats, strong threats on the board, are dealt with. There still is a threat next to the ED, starting with an S, but it's not a huge deal. I should always be able to deal with that by having a huge play with Vega. So Jason plays Cam, and I had just drawn 2 R's, which looks pretty bad, but I decide to make another insane play. Doesn't make any sense here. Of playing Fez for 15. Why did I do this? Well, there are lots of I's unseen. And if I can just draw 1 I, which I do, I actually have a 7-letter word with Vega, and he can't really do anything to block it without opening more. You'd have to play next to the RE or AT, ED, batted to block me. And Fez just blocks the last bingo lane. So Jason decides to play off his E. I was a bit surprised by this play. I thought he would maybe play OE from the O and Coney just to create a big S spot. But I get to play Terrier. What a great draw.
82.
To 3 Rs. And this should be more than enough to win the game. Yeah, crazy decisions. Because I miss Zeta, it's turned into a very weird game. I draw the Q, and it does appear that I will be stuck with it. But that's okay. I have more than enough to withstand. So he plays YE, 28, starting to score. Again, I have no spots for the Q. So often the best thing to do in these endgames is try and create a spot to play the Q that the opponent has to deal with. So that's what I do here with NOO, creating QI and IN. And it's not super easy to block. And so he might go wrong, but it's mostly just to create an annoying thing to deal with and just slow the opponent down. Slow play. And so Jason plays Un to block QI, and he hits the clock, and I'm just like, sorry, man. You fell right into my trap.
Yeah. I see it.
Uni and
I'm
QI.
trying to be as tricky as possible.
I was really not expecting that to happen, but it was a consideration. Or you can make a play that maybe causes opponents to make mistakes more often than they normally would. So Jason then plays his best endgame play
21.
of Wilts. And I respond with my best play of just OM and Muni. And what to say? Very weird game. Lots of bizarre decisions. That veg decision, it's impossible to know how good that play was. But I thought it was pretty cool.
11.
Jason goes out with QI. And that is it.
That's probably your best endgame after.
So the final score,
Well done.
Thanks.
490 to
What a
380.
game. Oh my god.
I
That is the
know.
final game that I have recorded.
I was really
The next
hoping
game
that
I
we would
played
keep
against
it
Darren True, he didn't want to record,
sorta.
and
Now
the
that
final
I-
game
I
of the
couldn't really
tournament
to go for a big O2, but like
was meaningless, so I also
How
didn't
are you
record it.
doing that? Like, why don't
But I hope you guys enjoyed this series way more
not that later. But I mean,
where that
I could've
came
done
from.
that, but I just
Thank you
drew
so much for watching.
YU after Cam,
Right.
and I just didn't see a way to get rid of that and a way to draw Domingo.
Okay, so here's what happened in the final 2 rounds of the Midwest Major. I went into round 16 with a 2-game lead over Darren True, who was the only player that could catch me. And he was also behind by 440 spread. So even if he beat me both times, he would need to beat me by over 100 points on average both games. So I was feeling pretty secure, but the tournament wasn't completely over. However, in game 16, I did indeed win against Darren in pretty convincing fashion. Drew pretty well that game. And after that, the tournament was clinched. So once I beat Darren, the tournament was over. I still played another game against a player who was not in the running at all. So that was Steve Hartzman. I also won that game. So in the end, I finished the tournament with a 14-3 record, which was pretty cool. So in the past few months, I've been going around North America and also overseas with my new stream setup / recording setup. It's a board with magnets on it, and I attach some dollies to the magnets. Also have magnets on the top. I attach a piece on the top and I put a phone connected to an external charger to just film the board state. I've also been recording my racks as well, and I have tons of footage. And with tons of footage, it means tons of editing. And although I know there are a lot of people that want to see this sort of footage and appreciate it, I'm not sure that it will be on YouTube anytime soon. And that's because I want to focus on the content that I think will reach the widest audience, and that is storytelling. There are tons of amazing stories or crazy positions that I really want to share with you guys. And if I spend too much time focusing on my own footage, I fear I won't be able to create the content that you all deserve. What I do know for sure is that all of my tournament footage will be posted on my Patreon. The link to that is in the description. It is a subscription service, and I do not necessarily want to paywall this sort of footage. But for content that is focusing on my journey as a player, my tournament games, etc., all of that footage will certainly be on my Patreon. So that's what you can look forward to for this month and beyond. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.